Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Sleep Therapy. It is I, Kirk Henderson, your friend and fellow grumpy guy tonight, following that really pathetic performance. Really tired of losing games in national television. If you guys remember the start of last year, the Mavericks got embarrassed on national TV time and time again. It wasn't until like the 2022 part of the season that a national television game didn't like make me anxious. When you lose to a team that is missing 3 starters, there is no excuse that will make any sort of sense. It was a terrible coaching performance. It was a terrible defensive performance from a significant number of Mavericks, including the prize offseason free agent acquisition in JaVale McGee, who is not showing much of anything to date. It was a little bit of it's a hot take, but I think this is true. I think Luka's early focus was not there. I think that as team leader, he has an element of responsibility involved of coming out and crushing these teams that they should beat. And I don't know if he was there tonight. Sure, I'm going to get some pushback from that, even though I thought, Luka obviously had a statistically really good game again. He's averaging, just like under 35 points a game. There's just things there. Okay, come up. Let's talk about this. We'll figure it out. We'll work our way through it and get ready for the Thursday game. If you remember, when you are called up on the stage, make sure you're not muted. Look for the green ring around your name to light up, and we will see what we want to talk about here. So, all right, coming up first is Chris.
Hey, Kirk.
Hey, man.
How's it going, man?
It is, man.
Yeah, it does suck, but listen, I'm actually not that upset. I know it's disappointing.
You're never upset though.
I can be upset. I can be upset and be stressing about it and it'd be keeping me up at night. But this game will not keep me up at night. It had a trap game written all over it. It's early in the season. Those players that were playing really good in the play-in, and they were giving the Suns trouble in the playoffs. It didn't even cross my mind until we played them. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Like, was it Alvarado and Murphy the third and Marshall? Like, I didn't even think about these guys until we started playing them. I mean, and that first quarter was just horrendous. I mean, they were just making everything. I don't even know if we were playing bad defense. I think they were just making tough shots. I mean, but they were getting some wide open looks too. But they were hitting their shots. They're NBA players, So that was frustrating. And then when we got back in the game, I think our highest lead was 7 points maybe in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they were up, I want to say 94-87 at one point in the fourth.
That Dinwiddie turnover really changed the route of the game.
Dinwiddie was an ungodly tire fire. despite what his minutes will tell you. For some reason, he played a team-high 38 minutes, which that's just one of many things I don't understand. He's a negative 15 despite scoring 24 points, which is just hard to do. Real rough when it's obviously plus minus is not indicative of one guy, but it's just it wasn't great. Dinwiddie was pretty not great for me.
Yeah. I mean, and he had 24 points tonight, and he's okay. I mean, he's hitting timely shots sometimes. It's just that turnover really messed us up because immediately McCollum hit a three, 10, 15 seconds later. And that just changed the whole route of the game. That one offensive foul, Dorian Finney-Smith, I mean, that was and I think they got 1 point on the other end. So it really didn't hurt us that much, but just the unsuccessful challenge. I mean, just all these little things add up. Now, of course, free throws. I know Christian Wood's not as missing as many free throws as that first game, but once again, we lose by 2 points. It's just like last week. We're trying to make a buzzer beater three to win the game, which I would be fine with them going for 2 points, honestly, because that's kind of what it felt like they were going for.
Well, with 2.7 seconds, it's hard to get something going at the basket. And that's what's a little difficult there. Yeah. I will say the thing that it's just if you're going to play a defensive lineup, so it's like Wood has to come out, and he does have to come out because he can't play, from the middle of the third quarter for the rest of the game. Like, he's not going to play 18 straight minutes. But if you're going to go to a defensive lineup, I need the defensive lineup to be defensive and fucking defend. It's a wild concept.
Yeah.
It's like it's a defensive lineup and in the sense of they're getting defensive and they're getting upset, not actually defending anything. It's frustrating.
They've got some kinks to work out. And honestly, I was even telling my son, I was like, Wood's going to win the game for us on a three.
Wood didn't get enough shots. Wood gets 10 shots. What are we doing, guys?
He's like, I swear every time I see him take a three, he makes it. I really thought that they would, because everybody knows it's going to be Luka. Change it up a little bit. I don't know. I thought Wood could have won the game for us if we're going to go for a three. I mean, yeah, like you said, we didn't have much time, but the whole Campazzo thing. Oh my God! I mean, it was nice to see him. His very first shot as a Mav, he made that three. But good Lord, man! Oh my God, that was just. I'm not
gonna hang anything on Campazzo because Campazzo is a symptom of the problem. He is not the problem. He's him and people told me, oh, he's not gonna play. Why would he play? Like 15 minutes. And I think that's going to be a consistent thing. Now, I sort of wonder if Josh Green might be the odd man out.
Honestly, man,
because it's if he's playing with maybe Tim Hardaway. I don't know. It's just there was that lineup out there that had him and Josh Green, and it's that's two non-shooters.
I don't know.
Non-shooters, you're risky.
I was at the game on Memphis, and then I know it was garbage minutes and all. And Tyler Dorsey was he was starting to go off. I mean, I know gets bad players on the Memphis squad, but I don't know. I kind of would like to see Tyler Dorsey out there today, kind of instead of Campazzo.
If we're calling for Tyler Dorsey minutes, Chris, things are dark.
Here we are last
year. They're not that dark yet.
I'm calling for Moses Brown last year.
Yeah, you were calling for Josh. You were calling for Moses Brown.
That was a pretty rough stretch in the beginning of that last season. But hell, we were winning games. I know it's stressful as hell. We're pulling our hair out, but we were winning those games. But we're only 3 games in. Let's not stress, and we are going to.
I'm going to stress because this is indicative of this is bad process.
It's better than being a Clippers fan right now. They lost 14 points against the Thunder. I mean, as long as we're not losing against the Jazz, the Thunder, the Pistons.
Well, guess what? We play the Thunder and the Magic this weekend, friendo. So
we're gonna win. Don't worry, we're gonna win. We got it. Don't worry.
All right, man. Thanks for coming up.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Let's see here. We got a lot of people wanting to talk, so let's go. Where'd one of my guys in here that wanted to talk? Anyways, I'm gonna let this guy skip the line because he's my friend. All of y'all are my friends, but you know what I mean. Mavs draft,
dude. I don't know how I got picked. I appreciate this. We were just talking in the other space. We did a little space on Twitter just a minute ago. We were kind of roasting JaVale McGee. I posted a clip. I don't know if you've already talked about him. So
no. Plus, let's just talk about. I do this so people can get all this shit out of their system. I love the same takes because it makes me feel less insane whenever multiple people are like, "This was not great."
Yeah. So I mean, all I have is 2 things I wanted to talk about, and again, stop me if you've talked about them ad nauseum already. I know it's only been going 10 minutes, but we were talking about how JaVale gave up probably the most points in the first quarter, and he only played 4 minutes. It was a disaster in a 40-point quarter. not on like it wasn't just JaVale. Some of the guys were getting beat on the perimeter too, but there was one, the first clip in the one I posted, like he literally has his back turned on the pick and roll in the worst possible way. He's blind to the pick and roll and what is happening. So that was really bad. I cannot believe, like, I'm curious what you think before I get to the second thing, and I'll go kind of quick.
I mean,
but
with McGee, it's shades of DeAndre Jordan, where I used to lose my mind and post clips of him just watching guys go to the rim. It wasn't quite that bad. I felt like he was late in some instances, but if your whole role is to be big and tall near the rim, and you're neither big nor tall nor helping with rebounding, I'm not really sure what his focus ought to be. I mean, 12 minutes in this game, like, hopefully this experiment is short.
Yeah,
there might be times where McGee is useful, but it's only going to be against bad teams. He is not a playoff player, which as a result of that makes me wonder why you even have him on the team.
Yeah, I still wonder about that signing. Yeah, pretty much my question was just a little prediction from you, and then one other thing I want to talk about was just when do you think the JaVale starting experiment ends, and also when do you think Christian Wood finally plays 30 minutes?
Yeah, at least he played
29 and a half, mind you.
Yeah. I think Coach Jason Kidd is the type of coach and type of player who is stubborn to a fault. I think he won't call a timeout whenever they really need one, so I don't see why he would decide to give up on the starting center thing with McGee in anything under 10 games. I really don't. I think we're going to have I think the Mavericks will win in spite of themselves for a number of these games. They have a lot of like schedule beneficiary things helping them. Like they played Brooklyn on Thursday, and Brooklyn's on the second night of a back-to-back. And then they play the Thunder, who are not, are obviously frisky, and then the Magic, who like Paolo Banchero might eat against Dallas. That could be something. But the Mavericks still should come out of a lot of these opening games. They should be like 3 to 4 games above 500 in their first 10, even with McGee. But if they're not, then woo, brother. So 10 games is my guess. And then the Wood minutes thing, I don't know, because I want him to play like 30, 32. But my question is for kind of kick it back to you, is do you think he needs to play with Maxey, or do you think they will let him try to play any 5?
I could see him playing. I mean, yes and no. Like, I want to see both, right? Like, that ideally you kind of balance it. My whole thing is just don't put lineups where you're putting one ball handler and 4 role players out there. So if they stop the ball handler, everybody, like tonight, I think we saw it, especially with Maxey. There was a point where I think it was in the third quarter. Luka got rid of it. Maxey takes it at the free throw line, like in a flash, and he just sits there. Jose Alvarado, and he's like looking around like he's lost. Jose Alvarado just comes in, swipes the ball out of him, completely blind to him. And it's like, that's what's going to happen if I feel like if you don't get enough ball handlers out there. But at the same time, you can't play everybody 48 minutes.
No, and the Campazzo minutes, I thought were fine. I earlier was kind of crushing the Campazzo Josh Green pairing, not because of
that was bad.
Them, just sort of it's a question of like, how can you put both of these guys in that position? Campazzo had to take a couple of heave threes. That's not fair. Like, we do this to Luka because he's Luka, but you can't. The process there was like, oh God. That was is what it looked like everybody was doing on offense, and it's just it doesn't make me feel good when you're like Tim Hardaway Jr. goes out, and then that's sort of the lineup rotational choice. It's where I've argued with a couple of Mavs fans for summer. It's like, oh, we're really deep, and I don't see it. Same.
Which it kind of begs the final thing I was just going to say. I'm curious what you think, but like Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith. I mean, Dorian only had 2 shots. That's still weird. Or 2 threes, excuse me. He had 5 shots. Like, them 2 combined with 3 of 13. I'm just curious, like, just kind of your take, and then I'm going to step down and let some other people talk. But I'm curious what you would do to counter when those guys have bad shooting nights. And also Maxey was 1 of 3. I mean, I think until the fourth quarter, on like some second chance points, I think he was 0 of 2. So what do you do when those 3 guys, not only are they not taking a lot of shots, like 2 of 3 of them aren't, and then also when they're not falling, like what? I'm just genuinely curious what you think would be the appropriate like adjustment for them to do. It's a loaded question. I'm sorry to make you play coach, but I mean, you're a smart dude. I'm curious.
Well, I think the overarching thing seems to be, and I'm guessing this was a topic of discussion in the space that you were in, is that teams are going to basically dare Luka to score 40, like the old Steve Nash strategy against, and that's just not Luka's instinct. He was obviously 14 of 17 from 2-point range tonight. And I think that may be the thing that breaks them out, because Josh Bowe had a theory on our show that I just recorded with him. He thinks that defenders are staying home on Dorian the way they haven't in years past, and Maxey too. Bullock always draws a lot of attention, but let's just, through 3 games, let's take a look at this. So, Josh Green is getting some grief from me. In 50 minutes this year, he has 8.6 rebounds and 3 assists. Sounds really bad, right? This is from Jordan Ennis at Hoop Social Draft. Just shot me this message. He's over in Africa, I think. I don't think he can actually get online tonight. But then he said, okay, Dorian is rightfully getting, or I'm sorry, Josh Green is rightfully getting heat for this. But let's take a look at the other guys' minutes. Dorian in 100 minutes this season, 16 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists. Reggie Bullock, 88 minutes.
Wish we had Reggie Miller.
88 minutes this season. Reggie Bullock has 21, 10, and 3. So it's the entire other guy group is not really doing much. Now, is the question, is the other guy group, the rest of the role players not doing enough, or are defenders staying home? And I think it's the defenders staying home thing. I really do. I think the way you break this, if there is a way to do it, is that Luka just needs to parade into the paint until they have to send doubles at him. Because right now it feels like everyone is staying at home, and his inclination a lot of times is to make like weird hanging jump passes and stuff. And I think that Luka's scoring title thing might be, it's my buddy Matt Moore has a bet on that, like for assist title and scoring title, because it's like Luka's usage is so high. If guys are going to be staying close, that is the short-term solution. I can't really think of anything else. What about you, other than maybe starting Wood and like just spamming pick and rolls to death? Oh, he dropped off. No, where are you? Come back. All right, maybe Mr. Draft is he dropped offline. There we go. All right, let's keep talking, guys. Coming up next, my buddy Jose. How we doing?
Hey, what's up, Kirk? How are you?
Yeah, I'm always grumpy after a loss, but talking about it is better than tweeting about it.
I feel you. I was fucking pissed like throughout the game, because the first quarter, like, we were just giving up easy buckets at will. JaVale McGee looked terrible. Our bang bros, they weren't banging, they were just bros out there.
Yeah.
And man, we caught a run at in the second quarter, caught up, of course, 66-64 going into halftime. But then the third quarter, we started strong. Luka finally got his head into the game, and that's crazy to say because he still had 20 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. But it looked like he was just really putting the pressure on the Pelicans defense. And then you look at Reggie and you look at Dorian Finney-Smith, who combined for 1 of 8 from 3, and they just couldn't get anything going. This is something that I've worried about, is just having people who create their own shots. And Reggie nor Dorian could really do that. Neither one of them could really put the ball on the court. And there was a fast break transition where Dinwiddie was pushing up court and Reggie was alongside him, and Spencer gives it to Reggie. Reggie gets blocked, or he misses the layup in transition. And this is something that I've seen during the training camp videos and preseason games, is Reggie's not really a good driver going to the paint or just laying it up at the rim. And that's just sad. And a lot of people want to get on Josh Green because
I thought he was fine. It was there was very little. I'm just more talking aggregate, where it's like they throw him out there and it's like him, Josh Green, Wood, Spencer, and Campazzo, and it's like, oh no, what is this lineup? That's really what it was, the aggregate, not the one guy. Right.
But like some people will single-handedly point out Josh Green and say why he's not doing much. But you got these 2 veterans and Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock, who are supposed to knock down those threes as soon as they catch them. But like you said, the defenders are staying home. So then we have a stagnant offense. That's when your Dinwiddie, your Luka, and your Christian Wood is supposed to be more effective. But Man, if those shots would have fell, we probably would have won the game. But also, our defense was just closing out really late. I seen Maxey and Reggie just look at Trey Murphy as soon as he caught the damn ball. They gave him a quick second, and he spotted up and drained a three. It was just like, why aren't we closing out on this guy a lot faster? And after 3 of 3, 6 of 6, you figure they'd get the message. But no, there was still a lot of times where they just left them wide open. Also, Luka doesn't escape criticism either.
Well, do you want to hear a stat? I don't want to interrupt your rant, but I think you'll like this. Well, you won't like this. From my buddy Seth Partnow, in quarters 1 through 3 this season, Luka Doncic is shooting an effective field goal percentage of 58.5. In the fourth quarter, his effective field goal percentage drops to 36.4. Not good.
I think that just comes with the high usage that
yes, it does.
that I was worried about. Like when you let Jalen Brunson go, and you wait until the last week of the off season to sign Campazzo, it's just that's what you're gonna get. And then also, just Luka shooting 2 of 13 from 3 and settling for a lot of those step backs. We know Luka is an offensive weapon. We know what he could do. He could get you a triple-double, but he's settling too much for those step back threes, and he just needs to start knocking them down or just drive his ass to the paint. He's bigger than almost everybody on the damn court. Also, there was a couple of plays where Dinwiddie couldn't get Christian Wood the ball in the paint. Like Christian Wood literally had mismatches. I seen this in the home opener against Memphis Grizzlies where Tyus Jones is literally on Christian Wood in the paint. Christian Wood is backing him down, and Dinwiddie just takes so long to try to get him the ball just because he's not an effective dump-off player.
Well, the Mavs draft just said this in the chat, and it's what I was thinking, where it's like an entry pass is a lost art for many people, not just NBA players, but like nobody knows how to do it anymore. And Wood had so many short corner opportunities where it's just he had a smaller guy on him, and a drive and a dish might have gotten him the ball, but Dinwiddie just over dribbles. Again, it's somebody said to me earlier, somebody said in the chat earlier, like, it's not blaming this on Dinwiddie. It's not necessarily doing it. I'm just saying Dinwiddie was remarkably ineffective despite his counting stats. And if he's going to have the ball like he does, he's going to need to be a little bit more point guard and not dribble the ball like he's James Harden, which is what I felt like I saw tonight. Now, the threes were there, which saved him, but Dinwiddie is not a 50% three-point shooter. So they have to figure, like, the offense, when Spencer Dinwiddie is on the floor, the offense runs through Spencer. The offense needs to run through Christian Wood. Like, you trade off Luka and Christian Wood, not Luka and Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie is a byproduct to both of them, and I think he will excel in that role instead. It's just 10 shots for Christian Wood is not enough.
Look, Kirk, I was ready to massacre Maxey, but he earned himself some grace today because
we hit a 3, but I think he was still late on a lot of boards, and my expectations for Maxey are always low. I saw somebody in the chat earlier saying, why are we playing 2 bigs? I'm okay with Maxey and Wood being the big because Maxey will just go stand on the 3-point line. He's not going to clog up any space. He'll also shoot the ball if he receives open passes. I don't know. They got some lineup stuff to figure it out.
Right. And you know the reason why Maxey earned some grace from me today is because he got an offensive rebound and then he goes and knocks down that clutch 3.
Good shot.
Like, other than that, like, early in the game, it was just frustrating watching Maxey because, again, there was a lot of times where Maxey and Reggie just looked off Trey Murphy and let him get set up for open 3. And it's just, if you're going to have a 3-and-D wing, have a 3-and-D wing who's going to consistently play defense.
Sure.
And, Jason Kidd, having Christian Wood on the bench in the fourth quarter when we're down 4 is just asinine. It's asinine, 10, 11. It's fucking crazy. Jason Kidd needs to get his shit together.
Well, it's a rotational difference to where if you're going to play Wood these minutes, I think you have to figure out how to space them differently because they go into these minutes in the fourth quarter. We've seen it twice in losses now where Wood leaves for a period of time and then the offense just gets funky, where someone in the chat just described it as Spencer dribbling it up, then passing to Luka for 10 seconds left on the clock. Like, that's not an offense. They have to do something else. And they weren't even really picked. It was just like odd ISOs or posting Luka up, or I just didn't care for a lot of the shots there in the fourth quarter.
Right. And I'm going to stop talking because
okay.
I need some different voices in my ear besides my own when I listen to this.
Well, I mean, Chris started us off and he was talking about, he's like, I'm not really worried yet. I will, the first 20 games are going to be very different from the final 20 games. I'm trying not to overreact too much to elements of what I'm seeing now because I do believe they'll clean it up. But I hate the fact that we're leaving. We should be 3-0. The Mavericks should be 3-0. And it's much easier to comb through these mistakes and say, all right, here's where they need to clean things up if they're ahead. And they're not. And that drives me nuts.
And then they're also down Zion, Brandon Ingram.
Oh, yeah.
And Herbert Jones. And it's just, this is a very winnable game, just like that Suns game. And the Pelicans, they're no pushovers either. Somebody had said that CJ McCollum wasn't a playmaker. And the first minute he's out there giving out dimes. It's just, this Pelicans team is good though. But like you said, we should be 3-0. All right, I'm gonna step down. Have a good night, Kirk.
You too, buddy. Thanks for hanging out. At least we all get to go to bed early. Okay, who's been waiting a while? Let's go with my man Ruben. What's happening, friend?
Oh, where do I start? Oh, man.
Wherever you feel like.
I don't even. All right, I'll start with the good because it is early. It is an early season. I feel like Mavs haven't played that many games that other teams have for some reason.
Yes.
I kind of want to see them go on a back-to-back one week. I'm not even sure when their first back-to-back is. But I'll start with the good.
Saturday, Sunday.
I will love it. I will. Hopefully we can get 2 dubs, But I will start with the good. Like Christian Wood, 3 for 3 on threes. When he's out there, he's filling it up. He's not looking bad on defense. I mean, I couldn't really tell anything from this game. There was a couple fouls he got caught on that I didn't think were fouls, but, whatever. What I did like was I did like Facu and Josh Green on the floor. When I will say, I don't know if anybody will agree, but they brought a different vibe to the defense. Like, it felt like they
hustle.
Yes, and that's the perfect word for those two. The hustle, the hustle rotation. When they're out there, they're pretty much going for every rebound, every steal. Campazzo had a nice steal. He didn't look too out of sync when he was controlling the rock. I'll give it time for him to really get into, learning our offense and defense. But he didn't look out of place. I will say that he did remind me of when he would play the Mavs and just, do some things that, who the hell is this guy? Why is he like so fast? And he looks faster than everybody else, and he just in the right position to get rebounds or get steals or anything like that. I did love what I saw from him. So that was good. Let me see. I'm trying to think of anything else that was good before I just get some shit off my chest so I can go to sleep.
Sure.
Luka is the truth, man. Like, I mean, he the rest were letting him get banged up for most of the game. And then I guess they got a text from somebody up top to say, hey, you cannot let the future MVP of this season get a broken ankle and a broken elbow. Like, they were really like letting shit go with Luka, but he still had his 30 points. And now I will go towards and one more thing. I like what I see from Spence. Okay. He had a couple passes that were so only thing from Spence, I would say he waits too long to pass it. there could be an open guy under the goal, or open guy, right next to him. He just doesn't have. I guess he's second guessing himself. I don't know what it is, but he thinks he has. When he's on the floor alone, I feel like he thinks he has to do everything himself, and he just needs a couple games to get out of that mind state. And it looked like he had a couple, like he had Christian Wood under the goal. If he just would have passed it sooner, it would have been an easy 2, or, a 2 and a foul. But I love we had 3 players, score over 20 points in this game, and it was Dinwiddie, Wood, and Luka. I would love to see that more. So I'm not going to, shit on Dinwiddie that much. But now, Jesus Christ, J. Kidd, can you learn the flow of the game? Can you learn when to call a timeout?
The timeout stuff is nuts. I get why he doesn't break his rotations. I really do. But the not calling timeout sucks. It's like the direct opposite of Rick Carlisle, who would always call a timeout.
Rick Carlisle, oh, shoot, they went on a 5-0 run, timeout. And I don't want it to go that far, but when they are up in the first quarter, almost 20 points and still scoring, like you can already see what type of game it's going to be by they're just throwing shit up at some point in the first quarter and everything is going in. So in your mind as a coach, like, okay, let me stop this a little bit. It looks like it may become one of those games where, anything they throw up, they're just having a nice shooting game. They were shooting 85% in the first, according to the announcers, and no timeout was taken.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
what do you learn?
Is that
it's like the old Phil Jackson thing where it's like, well, guys need to play through things like this and learn. Like, what do we
exactly.
learn? They need to change. They need to change something.
like you are the coach. What are we learning? You learned from last year, and you learned. Like, I hope you learned that you don't want to go in a big hole in the Western Conference, like 0-10 or like 1-10, or you don't want to record wise. And I'll get to JaVale McGee. Jesus Christ. I feel like the only time he's had a good game was in the scrimmage or in the practice videos that we have seen.
I hate to interrupt you. Jeremy in the chat just ended me, and he just said the Mavs are a young team.
Oh, my God. The sarcasm. Jeremy,
sorry.
This is not the time.
Ahead.
Hold on.
That just made me laugh.
That is not going to make me sleep well, Jeremy. Hold on. You got to bring Jeremy up next if he did request. But why are we waiting 10 games? We already see that pretty much JaVale McGee, he used all his legs in the scrimmage and in practice. Like, it was one point in the game where we were coming back, or like had maybe a 2-point lead or something, and we were like jumping up for the offensive rebound, and it kept popping off the goal. And Luka was it the defensive rebound? I can't remember, but like 3 Mavs players had a hand on it, and then Luka's looking at like JaVale. I can't read lips, but he at the end of the play, like he looked at JaVale like, jump the fuck up, bro. Like, you are taller than everybody on this court. Just jump. You could have. And then Luka came down with the rebound and looked at JaVale.
He's supposed to help with rebounding, and he's not helping with anything.
Well, like, what are we paying you for? Like, Luka literally looked at him like he was the GM on the floor saying, sir, what are we really paying you for if I'm still out rebounding you? What? Like, all right, Kirk, just give me your perspective. What are we paying him for if he's not doing what we're paying?
I don't know. I mean, my site and my guys crushed this signing, and then we got such voracious pushback by other local media that were like, what? And it was like, I'm sorry, I know basketball. I also know beyond the Mavericks basketball. I lived in Washington, D.C. from 2006 until 2021. I watched years of JaVale McGee. He is fine at best. He's also old now. So old, tall, big, whatever you want to call it, whatever he brings to the table, he's not shown anything in 3 games. I'm willing to give the guy the benefit of the doubt that he can figure it out, but I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt at the expense of losses.
That's all I'm saying. I feel like everybody, like, I'm at a point now as a Mavs fan, like,
Josh in the chat called him asthmatic Willie Cauley-Stein.
Pretty much. I saw that on Twitter too, and I pray to God that it's not Willie Cauley-Stein, that we gave him a 3-year contract for a good reason. And the way Luka looked at him after, like, he stole the rebound from him and said, "What the fuck are you doing? You need to jump." Like, literally jump. Like, he does not jump. All right. And I think I got one more thing and I'm trying to remember it.
That's fine.
But I just want to, why are we starting so slow? Because for some dumbass reason, we got to wait 10 or 20 games for a starting lineup to change. No, we know what it is. We got McGee that doesn't jump for rebounds as much. He'll try to make he literally got hung on the goal of a Luka oop. Like, he didn't get it. Right. And that is bringing Seawood either in his place or in Spencer Dinwiddie's place. But another reason we lost this game is because, hey, we cannot predict a 85% shooting team in the first quarter. I give you that. But also Reggie Bullock, I guess, was it April he turns into the real Reggie?
Well, okay, so he before tonight, his first 2 games were good shooting night. He was kind of due for a down night. So I'm trying not to be
right. I'm trying not to, but when you see that as a coach, like, am I the only one that notices other teams play their rookies or everybody on the bench? Literally, this other team that we played tonight played people that hadn't even gotten time on the court, and they were going off. They were going off. Literally,
years of team building is how we ended up with this. So it's not going to be fixed in a day. It's going to be fixed over years.
I feel like we got people on the bench that could possibly, I'm not saying every game, but when you see Reggie going like 0-7, I don't even know if he hit a 3 tonight.
No, we would have crushed Kid if he would have like put in Hardy in a situation like that.
I would accept it. That's the point of experimenting in these early games, not experimenting with players that we already know what they're gonna give us. Experiment with players that new blood. Like, I feel like every other team plays their rookies or even tries other pieces, like, hey, this ain't working, let's see. Oh, you're not working, let's see. And especially with THJ out, I would not have been mad. We were just looking for something. Like, I just don't get the Mavs when we draft players and sign players, we just don't use them. Or is it?
Well, because that's how team built. Like, this is where it gets difficult, man, because the Mavericks tried to skip the line by going ahead and getting Kristaps Porzingis, and it didn't work. And so they cleared a bunch of assets. Then they were good anyway. And so it's like, by playing younger guys, you kind of commit yourself to the fact that you're going to lose some games. And so I understand what you're saying. Why won't they just do this and like maybe make Hardy take his lumps?
Exactly. It would have been a lump in this game. We would have all respected it. And it's just like, I think we would have crushed him. Crushed him for who? Like, we don't have THJ. We needed somebody out there that is not scared to shoot. And just like was it Josh? Luka's usage percentage. Like, we just need somebody out there that can handle the rock and is not afraid to shoot. We have Christian Wood, but for some dumb ass reason, we don't play him like he.
We played 29 minutes. It's like they're splitting he and Luka's minutes for a variety of reasons, and I wonder how long they can try to get away with this.
Well,
I mean,
they're not going to get away with it long with the stats you just said for Dodo and Reggie in the first couple of games. Why are we waiting so long? my thing is, why do the Mavs have to wait until they're the 12th in the Western Conference? I hate it. I really, and it's every year with Carlisle to Jason Kidd. When you bring in new blood, see what the new blood can do in these situations. That's all I'm saying. I'm not hating Josh Green. I'm not hating Campazzo. I really love their energy. They created a lot of chaos. We're still waiting on Josh Green to like that Campazzo 3. I literally tweeted, can Campazzo teach Josh Green to, as soon as the ball touches his hands, that means you looked open. You don't have to do anything else. Luka won't pass to a blocked person. Please just shoot it. You don't have to do anything else. If you don't make it, we'll live with it. But I like what I saw from those two. And J Kidd definitely has to get better with his timeouts. And that's all I will say. And please, God, can we get Seawood in the starting lineup? I really don't care who you take out. It could be Spence or JaVale. I'm hoping it's JaVale because Jesus Christ. Like, Kirk, can I ask you, what does Jason Kidd expect to get out of JaVale McGee that he can't get out of Seawood at this point?
I mean, honestly, a lot of it comes to the idea of boards and rebounding. But I understand where you're coming from because Wood has a really, really rough defensive reputation. Anyways, thanks for – hey, man.
No problem. I'm sorry. I'm going on a rant. Thank you so much, Kirk.
You're great. Have a good night. Hope you feel better after talking.
I do. I definitely do. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, coming up next, my man, Christian. What's up, friendo? You've been waiting a while. How we doing?
Yo, man. How are you? How's Suck doing?
He's looks like a balding man at some points because he's still missing the head, but he's doing all right.
Would you would have ever guessed the Huck was going bald before you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have my hair. I just won't have my sanity.
Did you have your sanity after tonight? Because I didn't.
It's a little much. Not a great performance. I wasn't really super mad because it felt like a copy of the season opener.
And like, you can't really be mad at Reggie because coming in tonight, I think we're shooting like 78% true shooting. So like you said earlier, he was due for an off night. But, you know, I would just like to sit down, have a conversation with Jason. You know, just ask him, is he capable of making adjustments in real time? You know, I'm not even asking you to start Christian Wood because I think that's a little bit too much for you to comprehend. Like, can you just stagger him better with your best players and, you know, play your best players when you have them? Because I feel like that's been an issue. And it's not just through these couple games.
Yeah. This is where the depth thing comes in for me, though, where when things are humming, they look outstanding. But when there's a bump in the road, it's really tough. And I think the Mavericks have 7.5 guys once again, maybe 8, depending on what you feel about certain players. The Brunson loss, this is a game where the Brunson loss hurts. You know, shout out to the Mavs Nation Twitter account who, for some reason, said something along the lines of Christian Wood fits better than Jalen Brunson ever did. Anyways, what's up?
I mean, is that too far from the truth? But then again, games like this where you miss that ISO shot.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's third game of the season. I think it's, you know, the sound of the alarm is crazy because there's a lot of other teams that are doing the same thing. And there's like, 70-something games left. I don't know. It's not that serious, but they become serious. And it just looks bad considering, you know, I think the Pelicans play like some JV team that they like got off the truce in New Orleans the other day and just say, you know what, we're going to play. And they whoop their ass for the majority of it. And then just, I don't know. I mean, when you get like 8 points from your wings, what else can you really do? I mean, the game is pretty much over at that point, right?
Yeah. God, 8 points from the wings. That's brutal.
I don't know if it's 8, but I know it's not 10.
Yeah, it's rough. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for waiting and hanging out.
Yeah, of course, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Okay, coming up next then, we got, let's fly through it, guys, because you're tired, I'm tired. Tyron, what's up? How we doing? Hit the unmute button for me.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
There we go.
All right. Yeah, I just got home from work. I'm actually watching the game right now, and I'm pretty disappointed. Hear what you guys are saying now. Yikes. Yeah, right now Facu Campazzo's on the court, and that bothers me for a lot of different reasons, being that there were so many guys available, throughout the summer. And one that stands out in particular, I'm probably going to get flamed for saying this, but what's the guy's name that used to be the point guard we drafted before Luka came, the year before Luka came?
Dennis Smith, looking great
Dennis
in his
Smith
time
Jr.
in Charlotte.
He has been tearing it up in Charlotte, and it bugs me to no end that he publicly said that he wanted to come back to Dallas this summer, and they shut it down immediately, and we went and got Facu Campazzo.
Well, so on that specific note, Tim Cato said that Facu was kind of on the fringes of their idea for a while, which means they were waiting around for better options and then opted to sign Campazzo. But Dennis to me is a tough one. Dennis to me is a tough one because I think he's in the perfect circumstance. He's near home. He's doing a lot that worked well for him. I think coming back and playing under an expectations team would have been really difficult. There's, he and Luka are friends, but it's just an element. I think he's in the perfect situation. That doesn't mean it doesn't sting when you look at it, though, because for exactly what you described, is he a better option? I don't know. It's, to me, neither one of them is actually a solution. It's more just indicative of what we've said going back to the start of free agency, that this would be a problem. And our concerns collectively were downplayed, and maybe it'll work itself out in the wash. If they close out these two games when we're 3-0, are we talking about this? Probably not, but I'm still pissed.
Yeah. And on top of that too, just for a locker room presence, just again, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm half tired. Please excuse me. Or I'm half asleep.
That's all right.
Carmelo Anthony is still out there. I mean, I'm not expecting anything from Melo at this stage in his life, but again, just to fill in an empty roster spot, he would have been a hell of an addition as far as locker room presence, at least, just from his experience alone. You know what I mean? We had options, but we did the typical Dallas Mavericks thing where we're waiting around for God knows who. We'll probably find out years down the line that we were waiting for fucking Michael Jordan this summer or something. Who knows? To join the team. And it's hard to watch. But anyway, what I really wanted to talk about was what I'm seeing on the court as far as the team. I feel like the team is separating as far as talent goes. I mean, obviously, Christian Wood has been tearing it up. Luka has developed the chemistry with Christian Wood. And I really, unless guys like Dinwiddie, THJ, Bullock, unless they find some kind of consistency and start to, really become part of what's going on the floor, I see a divide coming. They just look like they're lost out there a lot of the time.
Is this on defense?
I mean, offense too. I mean, yeah, they get their shots and everything like that, but other than shooting threes, they're useless on offense. And and just going to the game Saturday, I saw a lot of Luka was cooking, Christian Wood was cooking, And, Dinwiddie, he got his shots up and everything, but that's pretty much it. When you force Dinwiddie to do anything else, he's useless. When you force, Tim Hardaway Jr. to put the ball on the floor, he's useless. Reggie Bullock with the ball in his hand, useless. And I don't see this working. You know what I mean? And then when I see people like, and again, I'm probably gonna get flamed for this, but when I see people like Green, Josh Green, I really want to see him on the floor more because I feel like he can offer. He lacks confidence. I'm 100% backing him as far as his talent, what he can do, but we'll never know if he ever sees the floor. You know what I mean? And then Jason Kidd's decision to play Facu Campazzo as much as he did tonight versus giving Green more run, that's fucking ridiculous. I don't understand.
I mean, they needed a ball handler, and Green has Green just sees his own shadow when he dribbles. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so do all those guys. We talked about it a little bit before you came up here with some of the other wings also not playing very well. It can't just be it's not just Green, it's the rest of them, and you made that point too. And it's just when things go bad, this team looks really ugly.
Yeah.
And that's how I don't understand from a team building perspective. You get to the NBA Western Conference Finals with in my opinion, I know that the two ball handler groups are two ball handlers, two wings, and a big really worked well for this team. Stock Franco wrote about this, etc. But you have to have more than two. So when they had all three of Brunson, Spencer, and Luka Doncic last year ran, they each did, they had like the same role when they were the primary ball handler, but all three of them played so damn differently that it was like playing, I thought of it like the old triple option that Nebraska football used to run a bajillion years ago.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
Where it's like you force the defense to do like guard different shit, and it's one step more predictable.
Yeah.
Spencer is going to be hot and cold. Tonight we got a hot Spencer game and still didn't win, and that just frustrates me.
Yeah. Yeah. I got one more question for you.
Sure.
Again, just watching this game, I'm not even going to finish watching it. I'm just going to go to bed at this point. But clearly, I mean, this can't be the team after the trade deadline. Do you
I think they don't have anything to move. If they give up draft picks, like what Josh Bowe and I have said for a while, this might be a medicine-taking year. I still think they're capable of winning 50 games, too. I really do. It's just there's going to be losses like this where it's like, what in the hell?
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like the Dallas. I hate when we do this. I'm a Saints fan, and with the Saints, and I hate to admit that this season because it's been tough. But anyway, what the Saints used to do was they would play down to their competition, and I feared that this was going to kind of happen tonight. That's exactly what the Mavericks did. They probably figured, B.I. is going to be out, Zion's out. Herb Jones is gonna be out. Fuck it, easy dub. And they came out and they played like that, and we cannot do that. I know I don't want to overreact because we're only 3 games in, but it's real easy to get on that hill and it turn into a slippery slope, and you look up and we're having this discussion. So, hopefully they can turn it around. I think they can. It's still early.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is just a maddening loss. Well, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you.
All right.
Okay. We're all getting tired and grumpier instead of getting happier, but we still got a lot of people who want to talk. Brett, what's up?
Hey, Kirk. I was out for, about 15 minutes of this, so if I bring up anything that has already been discussed, let me. But one question I had was, I feel like in this game and so far this season, I feel like Luka has gotten a rough whistle, especially compared to like, the whistle that Dinwiddie gets or that Wood gets, or that almost any other guard in the league gets. I mean, and this is like a separate question than about Lucas complaining to the refs, which he should do less of, because I don't think that helps him. But I'm not sure what the path is to him getting calls on some of those drives where he gets hammered.
So my solution to that is getting into a time machine, going back to 2019 and telling him to shut the fuck up. Like, he's never going to get calls. I don't think he's ever going to get calls. It's the last layup he made the one that brought him within 2, the guy had his hand on his hip the whole way.
I mean, he's
just like
he's fouled on
him.
every single. I mean,
yes, he is.
He's fouled on every single drive, and it's like Zion or it's like Shaq or whatever. Like you, if you called it within the to the letter of the law, he would shoot like 35 free.
Well, and that's the sort of thing where Jason Kidd,
he
coach,
has to take those techs.
Think he would do something. He has not. In my recollection, he's not gotten a single tech on.
Yeah, that's the thing that bugs me because I completely understand that they don't. You don't want Luka to get techs. You don't want him to argue with the refs. In games like this, in the first half where Luka had took one free throw in the entire first half and was like limping around because. And I do think that some of that limping he does is for the purpose of demonstrating to the refs that he's getting hit.
Yeah.
But when he's getting like beat up like that and he's not getting the calls, Kid has to. It's like if you're a baseball manager and your team is getting a bad strike zone. Sometimes you got to get tossed, to both motivate your team and to
There's a fine line between becoming the refs guys and basically talking about it in the post game, drawing a fine, Mark Cuban paying for your fine and seeing if it makes a difference. It might be too early in the season for that, but I do think it's a thing that's going to have to happen. He shot 30 times tonight and he had 5 free throws. That's preposterous.
Yeah, I mean he took he shot like 15 times, like 15 times from 2 or so, and
17.
17 times. Yeah, and most of those, 13, 14 of those were in the paint. He drove many more times, into the paint and made passes. And again, like part of the reason he takes those threes is so he doesn't get hit because he doubts he'll get the call. And when you are playing because you don't think you're going to get the call, then everything is kind of
So it's very frustrating. The calls thing, though, is what you hope for is that everybody else maybe gets in help. Wood draws a lot where it's like you get in the bonus, and then you get the calls when it matters. Because Luka's been great on free throws this year, more or less, like compared to recent years.
Yeah, the other thing is that someone had said in the chat that they thought the Campazzo and Green minutes were bad. I thought that was terrible. That was like an insanely bad lineup decision. And I get that it's like the first game with him. But like Campazzo in the first half had no idea what he was doing on offense, and the second unit looked, at least in my estimation, really.
Yeah, they worked they were really frenetic on defense, which I think is nice because that is something Campazzo brings to the table. But offensively, it was like they were super spread out, and it just didn't matter.
Well, they were
because they. Yeah.
Well, the problem sometimes is that, and I get that when Luke is in the game, a lot of the time they will run an ISO heavy, heliocentric offense. When Luka's not in the game, you do not need to do that.
Right.
There's no reason to do that. You don't have to continue playing like that when he's not in the game. You can run offense differently. You can have a single player cut to the basket at some point during the.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they do because they need to do something different. Because it's like you can't have Tim Hardaway can't be that dejecting for him not being in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like overall, this was the kind of Dinwiddie game. While obviously his numbers look good, but this is the kind of game that I probably others envisioned being the negative when he was traded for. Like the idea of Dinwiddie hoisting up bad shots and looking Luka off. That is what happened in both the looking Luka off part, but also even when Luka was on the floor, that there was just a lot of hoisting up of bad shots and dribbling down and making other guys hoist up bad shots because there's 4 seconds left on the shot clock and Dorian Finney.
Yeah. Well, got anything else for us?
Nope. Thanks.
All right. Glad you came up. All right. Coming up next, we're gonna work through some folks. I know my man, Mr. Williams here, probably wants to go to bed because he's on the East Coast or even maybe a time zone ahead. And if that's the case, I'm sorry I made you wait this long. How you doing?
What's going on?
All right. Dang.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
No, yeah, I can hear you. I'm just reading the comments. People making fun of me a little bit because I sound grumpy. I am grumpy.
Yeah. So it's an embarrassing loss. You're supposed to be grumpy. But yeah, the thing is, like I said in the group chat, I'm putting this loss, both losses, on Jason Kidd. Comes down to coaching, man. It's ridiculous. he's saying give him 10 games, but 10 games can be the reason like you're a play-in team versus like a fifth seed. I really don't understand it. The rotations are shit. JaVale McGee is shit. Like I've been trying to say it for a couple of days, but I don't know what's going on with him. But it's like his brain reacts 2 to 3 seconds later to things. That's why he goaltends so much. It's like, oh man, let me block this shot. Shot goes up,
he's
comes
so
down.
like go gadget arms with his because he's so big that he can just go get the ball out of the sky. But that's against the rules.
Yeah, like, and then he just swats it. All right, goaltending. And then when you see him contest shots, it's like he's 2-3 seconds late on the contest. It's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? What did we pay you for? Like, I really thought it would have been, better than this. I also want to give Dinwiddie a little bit of props because of how he's played offensively. Like, he's looked okay. He's been efficient, but he's definitely not a table setter. He just sets the table for himself. Like, he's a scoring guard. He just makes a really nice dinner and he eats it by himself. Like, can't throw lobs, can't make passes. Also, we got to look at the shot attempts for Dorian through like 3 games. I guess the tape is out. Nobody's leaving him open anymore, and it's actually being kind of less effective offensively. So we're doing a little bit too much, flack for Josh Green compared to, what Dodo's out there doing right now.
Well, he had some nice cuts, and unfortunately blew a couple of layups, or blew one layup actually. But I would like to see more of that from Dodo because I think he's a pretty good, baseline cutter. I think they'll find some ways to get him more involved. One game, like they've lost 2 games by a total of 4 points. Yeah. And some of these things work themselves out over time. It just when the process is ugly, it's like there's been no attempt for the Mavericks in game to reconcile how ugly it is. It's, well, we're just going to keep pushing the forward with this bad offense. And I don't see how that solves itself. Like if Luka's, I know it's small sample size, but if Luka's not playing well in fourth quarters, figure out something different to where Luka can be more effective in the fourth quarter.
Right. It's just crazy how like this team's like offensive identity changes when it's like crunch time and they down. Like it just becomes very ISO heavy. They don't run any more pick and rolls. They just give it to Luka and they be like, go get us a bucket. And I really think it could be like more efficient shots out there. I'd love to see a Jason Kidd clipboard. Like I know on that clipboard he just draws a basketball and then takes the line from the basketball to the hoop and he's like, that's what I want somebody to do. That's it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming up and sorry for making you wait so long.
No, bro. It's all good. Have a good one.
All right, we'll talk soon. All right. Well, you guys got to give Ruben grief. He was ranting. He's my favorite though. All right, we're gonna keep going here. Nick, how you doing? Nick, are you there? One more time with the mute button. All right, Nick, if you can figure it out, we'll invite you back up here in a little bit. Gonna move on to the next speaker. Coming up next then, Sam. Hey, Sam, what's up?
Oh, same shit, different math season.
Sure.
But I'll be quick. I know a lot of people trying to talk to him, but first of all, Josh Green, like I like the guy, but it just sucks whenever you see Desmond Bane go for 38 last night. It's kind of like, bruh, this is what we could have had, and this is what we have. And I'm not even saying Josh Green's bad, for what he does so far. As far as his energy, that's great. We need energy because obviously when we start off giving up 40 points, that's you're not going to win a lot of games like that. Yeah. Second of all, like these kind of losses, like we've had 3 games and we had 2 inexcusable losses. And if you remember last year, we were the 4th seed just last year. And the only reason we were the 4th seed, I feel like, was because we had those 2 games where we lost to Orlando and OKC back to back. And if you look at the standings, we were behind Golden State by 1 game. That was the difference between a 3 seed.
Well, there were so many coin flip games. The Mavericks won a lot. The Mavericks won a lot of games, so it's like they were 35-12 in the new year. So you're basically saying they should have been 37-10.
Maybe I'm nitpicking, but it's just like those are the kind of things that come back and bite you in the ass at the end of the season.
Yeah,
and then just last thing, like Jay Kidd, my guy, Like, we all knew, because, I mean, I even typed it on Twitter. It was like, when they get that rebound, it's like, okay, so Luka step back three for the win, question mark? Because that's what he's going to do.
2.5 seconds is so tough. Because, like, if you're going towards the basket, 2.5, you got to make, like, Luka's probably the best person to make the pass, but you also want Luka to be the one to take the shot. So that's tough. I do understand why it's annoying, though.
And it's true, but, like, I mean, you got Christian Wood. You see what he's been doing. Just have him on the floor. At worst case, he's a threat. And if he's a threat, who knows? Like you said, 2.7, you can't do a lot, but it's something. And the fact that I feel like we haven't seen these guys together on the court at the same time enough, because when they're on the floor together, their offensive rating is, off the charts. Yeah. But for some reason, I know why the reason, but it's just, I don't know if you need to switch out the rotations with maybe getting Luka off the floor a little bit earlier instead of Dinwiddie, just to kind of have them on the floor at the same time, because Wood comes in pretty much end of the first quarter, then he plays a long stretch of the second, and by the time Luka comes back in, they may be together for a minute or two, then he's gone again. Yeah. So I don't know what they got to do to fix that, but we got to play Brooklyn on Thursday, and not saying 1-3 is a death knell, because obviously, a lot of teams in the West, the Nuggets are 2-2. I mean, the Heat is 1-3 right now.
That's high key suck. They can't defend at all. The Mavericks should run them into the ground.
And the thing is, they should.
Just like tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Should have run them out tonight with no Zion, no Herb Jones, no Brandon Ingram. They played lackadaisical, which they got to fix that, which I think they will. Because Luka says the right things in his little post game. So if he says the right things when he say we're playing down in competition and things of that nature, so he knows what's going on. But bro, when you're 14 and 17 on 2, just keep attacking the basket.
That's right.
You're killing it. But I don't want to bog down because I know you've been on.
You're great, man.
Yeah, but I don't want to get upset. It's only 3 games still. Let's get to the middle of November before we start going crazy. But it's losing like this sucks. But hey, we're fans, so we're gonna take everything crazy. So.
All right, man. Well, you're great for waiting. Thanks so much.
Oh, don't mention it. You have a good night.
All right, guys. Now I want to take a few minutes and talk about future Mavericks draft pick Amen Thompson. I'm just kidding. But seriously, go look at Amen Thompson. Man's incredible. Let's fly through some folks. Marcellus, what's up tonight? How we doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, appreciate you having me up, man. It's only 4 games into the season, and I'm not ready just yet to eat crow, Kirk, because I was one of those guys who was happy with the JaVale McGee signing. However, tonight seeing Jonas Valanciunas blow by him was an eye-opener for sure.
Pure effort, like lack of effort.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Shake said it earlier in reference to just whenever he is reacting to stuff, it just seems like he lacks obviously he's got the length. He's tall enough. He's got long arms. So he has a length to react to those blocks, but it just seems like he doesn't have the spry in his legs. Yeah. So I'm hoping that it's just early in the season. He's a little bit older, so his legs are just getting warmed up, and he'll get better as the season goes on. But I just had a few questions for you. The first one, a lot of people are mentioning it. I know it's going to be a broken record, but in reference to getting Christian Wood and Luka Doncic more minutes together, I like the fact that Luka plays the whole first quarter, but I'm not necessarily a fan of him playing the whole third quarter. And I was curious, how would you break Luka's minutes up to get them more time on the court together, especially going down into crunch time?
I'm not sure, but I do think that the playing all of the first and all of the third is something that they're going to have to look into, because it is so far proven to be quite, we have a small sample, but he's shooting terribly in the fourth because I think he's taxed, and they need to space that out a little bit more. Is my early read. I'm not. This is where it's depth concerns coming in, where it's you have these certain amount of minutes, you want to overlay things to where you're not out there without somebody who's pretty solid offensively, and I think they're a little worried about that, because it's the usage rates so far. Luka and Wood are among the top 5 in the league in usage rates. At least they were through 2 games. Maybe not after tonight since Wood didn't get very much action, relative shots at least. So it's tough. I'm not sure what they do. I mean, I really do think that Wood works his way into the starting lineup. You know, he's like, I need our friends that are asking him this question in the media to stop asking him. He's not in charge of whether he starts or not. People need to direct that question to Jason Kidd, who is the coach for anyone that seems to forget that on occasion. Otherwise, it's just stirring up drama, is my take. But I don't have a good answer. This is, if I did, I would probably not be a podcaster.
No, I understand. And I'd like to believe that, and I said it after the first game too, just with the fashion that they lost, that Jason Kidd is kind of stuck in his old ways in the sense of, hey, this is the lineup that got me to the Western Conference Finals. So, and when I say that, as far as like the Luka and Wood minutes, I think that he is leaning on Spencer so much to be that secondary ball handler that Jalen Brunson was, forgetting that, hey, we don't necessarily have a third, or we haven't defined a third ball handler on the floor like Spencer Dinwiddie was last year. So yeah. I hope that throughout the season we end up figuring that out. And then again, not going to take up too much of your time, right. But my second question, we've seen Dorian Finney-Smith in particular improve each year, whether that be shot percentage or 3-point percentage. I think last year in particular, one thing that I really did like was him being able to defenders closing out on him and him being able to put the ball on the floor for a 1 to 2 dribbles and then kicking it to somebody else. Haven't seen that much in the first 3 games.
Nope.
Hope to see that. Yeah, I hope to see a lot more of that in the future. But the question is, just because I saw a tweet at halftime, I didn't see the halftime show, but I think Charles Barkley said something along the lines of, this is the same Mavs team that we saw last year, in reference to Luka getting the ball and making plays and everybody else just kind of just standing there and hoping Luka can make something out of nothing. And that's what we saw the last possession of the game. And I know it was only 2.7 seconds, so not much time there, but I would personally like to see a lot more off-ball movement. I know that we lost to the Golden State Warriors, and I know we're a far cry from what that team really is, but I would love to see a lot more off-ball movement with Dorian and Reggie and these other shooters to get open, because Luka's going to find you on the court no matter where you are. He's just he's that great of a player. He's going to find you. But what type of improvements would you like to see from Dorian and Reggie and the other role players on the roster this year going into the playoffs?
Reggie, I don't really have much for. They put him in a position to score 2-point baskets a little too often this year, and he just sort of stinks at it. As far as Dorian goes, I think they have to find more elements to where he can be an off-ball cutter. I wouldn't mind seeing him be the screener a little more often. I think they may try. I would like them to try to go super small every now and again, depending on who they're playing, where like Dorian and Luka sort of switch off at the 5. I'm not sure if they have the lineup for that yet, but you know, with Dorian, he's hit so many open shots. But Dorian, kind of one of the secrets about Dorian that we don't really talk about enough, is not criticism, but it is true, is Dorian is one of the league leaders in what the statistics, like the tracking data, will qualify as a truly wide open shot. And he's not getting these shots because guys are sticking a little closer to him, which means if he's getting these, he's going to have to shoot a little. He's going to have to start, frankly, learning to make a little more contested shots. And that would require him getting the ball. I think he's not getting the ball enough in some of these circumstances. You know, he's not had a lot of shot attempts so far. Dorian's got a lot of cardio. You know, somebody pointed out earlier, it's worth saying again, we're kind of kicking the crap out of Josh Green, but Dorian's not been that good either. None of the rest of them have, but it's sort of what seems to be the case, where at least early on in these 2 losses, teams are basically saying, Luka, you be Steve Nash and and score all the points, and we're going to make you score all the points. And the difference is I think that Luka can actually do that. He just needs to stop taking so many damn threes.
I agree. Unfortunately, the supporting cast hasn't been up to par or what we saw last year thus far. I hope that'll change. Again, I think that Jason Kidd is kind of just depending on what he knows, which is fair. It's fourth game of the season, so I'm not necessarily, third game of the season, so I'm not necessarily going to get worried or anything like that. We still got a lot of basketball to play. I appreciate you having me up, Kirk, and have a great night.
All right. Apologize. You hear some buzzing in the background. My wife's brushing her teeth in the other room, but it is loud. We're going to keep talking. So, Krishna, what's up?
What's up, Kirk?
How are we doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm glad I had to take a class while watching this game because I was watching this game and I was watching the Stars game. And luckily, I could learn about something else instead of watching the game.
Oh, this was a pretty maddening loss. Did you get to catch up on anything? What are your?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of watching it throughout. I think it's been clear, like the defense just has not looked good at all. Like kids' reliance on defense, like I get it was so important for us last season. I don't disqualify that, but it feels almost it's stubborn. It's almost very much what Kidd did in Brooklyn and Milwaukee, where he was so stubborn that it ended up being his failures. And one of the things I feel like we were very praising in Kidd for last season was, he made changes. He didn't try to do the same things. But now, I mean, yeah, it is 3 games in, so it's not necessarily completely true, but it seems like he's not changing anything. And
he's not gonna. He said he's not gonna for a series of games. I mean, things are gonna have to get really bleak for him to actually make some of these changes.
And I find that frustrating because I look at someone like, of course, Monty Williams, like he has his own problems as a coach, but I feel like we saw that in game 1 where Monty Williams was like, Damian Lee is hitting threes and scoring. Okay, I'll just leave Damian Lee out there and take Chris Paul out. Like he does not care about your stats. And it's the same with Willie Green. Like Willie Green just does that. Willie Green instills confidence in guys when Trey Murphy is shooting the heck out of the ball and Devonta Graham is shooting the heck out of the ball. He's like, okay, I'll just leave you out there. Like it's not a big deal for me. And I don't know if we'll ever see that from Kidd. I don't think we ever will, because I think Kidd is, for as much as we want to say Kidd is not Rick, he has a lot of Rick tendencies where he has a certain style, a certain, lineup and rotation he wants to go with. And unless, he realizes it's going, fit dead up, he's not going to change anything. And it's frustrating, but again, it's 3 games and we'll see. And, you talked about it earlier. Do you really think there's no way the Mavs can make a trade at all this season?
I mean, I'll put it to you like this: if they make a trade this offseason and they use any of their remaining assets, which are future draft picks, they are fucking insane.
No, I 100% agree with you. I just think Powell is on an expiring. I think someone would take Powell at $11 million.
Maybe.
I think someone would take Powell. I mean, look at the Jazz. The Jazz have talent, a shocking amount of talent. I think the Jazz are going to be shipping. There's no way they're keeping guys there's no way they're keeping Lauri Markkanen. There's no way they're keeping Olynyk. I think they get rid of Conley because Conley's contract is what is Conley on? He's I think he's on 20
years. He's got 2 years. He's got a lot, but it's who can absorb? Anyways, I don't know. I'm not there yet.
Conley or Lauri Markkanen is there, Colin Sexton. They have too much talent for me to think they're just going to keep all of it. Yeah. But I don't know. Again, it is 3 games. It's weird because Phoenix, I would have said some of it looked good, but the ending was bad. Grizzlies, it was okay, all of it was good. And in this one, it felt like nothing looked good. But yet, you're kind of still in the game, which I just don't know how to feel about because you're so early in the season, it's hard to make a definitive judgment, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, have a good night, Kirk.
All right.
Don't want to keep anyone else too long.
All right, talk soon. We got a couple of people left and we'll be done. Jeremy, you've been having a great time in the chat, killing us. What are you thinking tonight? Hit that unmute button, please.
Oh God, I didn't think I'd actually come on.
Why? I let everybody come up. We get to everybody unless it's 3.5 hours. That's the difference in this terrible show. No, I'm telling you.
No, I'm just so angry at everything. I figured you just skip over me. This asshole doesn't need to talk anymore.
Are you kidding? Well, what do you got? Tell me. You'll feel better after you talk.
One thing we were talking about was somebody mentioned, like, what do we do? Just spam pick and roll with Luka and Wood yeah, that's exactly what you do. I mean, I don't care about the defense. If they have 140 offensive rating together, spam it until it doesn't work. Who cares about defense at that point? And JaVale McGee's not giving you defense. Max Kleber's not giving you defense. So just keep running it until it doesn't work. If they're hugging the shooters, keep running the pick and roll with Luka and Wood until it doesn't work.
Well, Rick Carlisle ran into this problem a little bit way back in the day when he just wouldn't use plays that would work. I do think where no one wants to run, early 2000s minutes anymore where you play like 6 guys, like 38 to 43 minutes. And I don't know, there are nights like tonight where I'm like, well, this is kind of what we got to do because I don't like half these guys on the team. But, when they don't have it, it feels like everything else is worse. And tonight was the night, 2 out of 3 games where a significant number of the guys who are in the rotation just didn't have it or were being guarded too closely to be effective. And, if you only have guys that are useful when standing still, when wide open, that's kind of an indictment on the team building. But, we've hit on that before.
Well, I mean, you could say that, but also Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock played 40-plus minutes a game and a team that made the Western Conference Finals last year, and they are literally only useful in offense if they are standing still and shooting the ball. So,
well, I think they're having defenders that are at least a step closer, and that's where there's Luka's obviously scoring a lot of points because he's very good at basketball. I'm not that dumb, but there's an element of this where I just think he's going to have to continue to score more and get defenses to react to him. So we'll see.
Well, that's where I go again, where you just if you start Christian Wood or play him with that starting lineup, regardless whether it's starting or not, you just continue to spam that pick and roll because they can't stay tied to him if Wood is rolling to the basket or if Luka's going on. And yeah, you might run the same offense 100 times over and over and over again. And when it stops working, that's when you can suddenly pass the ball out to Reggie Bullock or Dorian Finney-Smith for threes. Because right now, nothing is working. Spencer Dinwiddie he's an ISO offensive player. He's not a point guard, really. He's an off guard. He's an off guard who can dribble, and he's pretty good at spot up threes. But other than that, there's not really an offensive system that works other than Luka ISOing and dominating people. And they have something that works now that if Christian Wood runs pick and roll with him, then it's pretty much unstoppable. And until somebody stops it, keep running it. And when somebody stops it, then somebody comes in, and all of a sudden, Dorian Finney-Smith and Bullock are open for threes.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Yeah, frustrating loss. Thanks for coming up, man.
Thanks.
All right. Coming up next, and probably our last speaker here, is Mr. Bivens. Leo, I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to get you because I got to go to bed. I'm sorry. Mike, what's up? Hit that unmute button down there at the bottom. It will allow you to speak on this thing if you pull yourself out of the chat. Otherwise, it's not going to let you talk.
I got you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I was multitasking. How you doing, man? Still there? All right. Yeah, man, it was a rough night. I have a few things I have to get off my chest here. The first one is for tonight's game, with THJ being out, tonight was the night for Josh Green to come out and show us that he actually did make those improvements he claimed to have made in the offseason, his confidence, his willingness to put the ball on the ground, et cetera, and so forth. That didn't happen tonight, right? He still looks like the same guy. And that is what it is. I find it really weird for people to try to put this game on Josh Green. Like, I'm trying to imagine Heat fans blaming Haywood Highsmith for their loss to Toronto last night, or Celtics fans blaming Sam Hauser for their loss to the Bulls, or Nets fans blaming Day'Ron Sharpe for their loss to the Grizzlies. Like it's really goofy energy. I truly don't understand. With that said, Bullock and DFS. A combined 70 minutes, a combined 7 points. They also were not playing any defense. It was really rough to see. They looked like they'd been out drinking the night before.
Yeah, there
at a certain point, we had to put Maxey on CJ McCollum. Say what?
There were some embarrassing baskets that they gave up.
It was, I don't know if I've ever seen either one of them look this bad on defense.
Well, and that's where it doesn't feel like they took this team seriously at all once they knew. And that's a team-wide problem.
Yeah, it's that first quarter looked like you said, that I don't know if they didn't read the scouting report. Maybe they didn't have a scouting report on a lot of these guys. They're not the biggest names out there. And they were surprised by their quickness. They were surprised they could dribble. I have no idea what it was, but it was rough when you see Kid making a conscious decision to put Maxey on CJ McCollum because those other two guys could not keep up. The final thing I have to say is JaVale McGee. Now, when I saw we went out of our way to sign him, when I saw we signed him to a 3-year deal, I was upset. I was highly disappointed that was our major signing, et cetera. We had the tax MLE. We used it on him mostly. Oh. But I allowed people to talk me into it. I convinced myself, you know what, this could be good. He could be the big body in the paint that we need to deter some of those bigger bodies we might have to deal with in the playoffs.
No, see, this is where, because we're an hour and a half into this is where we complain that Dalton berated us. And I never gave in. I told Dalton he sucked. And Dalton was like, he can't be worse than Dwight. Let me tell you, through 3 games, he's worse.
You know, it's that grass isn't always greener situation. Like, we've been complaining about Dwight for years, it feels like. And all of a sudden I see people clamoring for some
big
more
Dwight Powell fans. They've been hiding.
I only knew one that would always be in my mentions, but I mean, he's looking like a prophet right now.
It's different because Dwight doesn't have the physical tools to do some of the stuff, but he always tried. McGee
Right.
has the physical tools to do some of the stuff, and he looked like late stage DeAndre.
Man, we're in a rough spot, I think, between Campazzo having to be that third ball handler, and they were literally hunting him on defense, and there's nothing he can do about it. Between JaVale not really giving us much in his minutes. If we start Christian Wood, what does our bench look like? I can't see us not making a move at this point.
I don't know. I mean, if they get into a flow, maybe things will be okay. They've not this weird start to the season where they've only played 3 games. They've had multiple days. Like there's something to the NBA grind where, you know, they'll be playing 3 games in 4 nights. They play Thursday, they play Saturday, they play Sunday. There's something to getting into a flow and coming out and playing over and over again that I think might help parts of this team, because there's an element of relentlessness and really just need to practice some of their schematic stuff, both on defense and on offense, that I think could help them. I'm just not convinced they make a move, because I'm not sure what kind of move they can make that doesn't sacrifice something down the road. And is this the season to do it?
Yeah, and that's where we're kind of almost in a similar position as the Lakers, where they don't want to make the wrong move either, because they're trying to plan for the future. But the longer they take to make that move, I think they're looking at giving the Pelicans a shot at Wembanyama. With us, I'm giving I'm giving Kid the 10 games. I'm giving Kid the 10 games before I really get upset. But I see a lot of problems.
Yeah, so do I. But we'll see where they go. Thanks for hanging out and waiting. Appreciate you closing us out tonight.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. We somehow did 90 minutes on Game 3. It's going to be a long year. That's okay. We'll be back here on Thursday. It's fun. I'm glad everybody got a chance to talk. I always try to do that because I appreciate you guys hanging out. Check out Mavs Moneyball. We'll see what we write. Everybody is great, and have a better part of your week. We'll talk soon.